Hello and welcome. It's All for United. It's the men's channel. And, well, it's been a blinking hard evening already. I've done an hour over there with the girls' channel. That's been all good fun. We previewed everything that's going on with Leicester. And now we're just moving a little bit further down the alphabet as we go to them who shall not be named. For Sunday is coming. And my goodness, what a game it's going to be. It always proves to be a good one. So I thought it'd probably be best if we got some heavyweight guests. And my goodness, did we not manage to get those? I've been chasing this guy below me for quite a while. He's been keeping away from me ever since we took the mickey out of his tea-making ability. But he's here and back in the show. So nice to have you with us, Bainesy.
Thank you.
We managed to get a deadline day emergency loan from Mr. Stu Willie. He's got in a bit of trouble, to be fair, at home, but we've got him for the next 40 minutes. So we're going to have to be concise and get our information in. And it's brilliant. It's the first time I've had him on a show whilst I've been hosting. It's brilliant to finally have him here. It's only Benny just next to us here as well. So brilliant. I don't get to talk at all.
And Barry, as Benny knows, one of my favourite sayings, it's about fucking time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going to cry. That's well within the first 10 minutes. He'll just have to get over it today. Never mind. Anyway, let's get it started with this. I just want to briefly get your thoughts on the last week, because obviously since we were last on, we've only gone on one a Carabao Cup in reasonably convincing fashion, I would like to say. But then we moved into the FA Cup, an actual FA Cup match, which we played and won just about at the end there. So what's your thoughts been over the last week? And do you think that the jiggery-pokery that occurred in the game against West Ham was all about trying to make sure we were fit and fresh, ready for this big game on Sunday? And Benny, as you're here, you can kick us off.
Well, first and foremost, I'll start off with the Carabao Cup final, if I may, just for a couple of seconds. What a game that was, and to be at Wembley Stadium with my son for his first ever cup final was just brilliant. Honestly, absolutely buzzing to see. For him to see his first trophy lift with his own eyes, because he was only a couple of years old when we last lifted trophies back in 2017. So he doesn't really remember that one too much. Those two or three trophies that were lifted under Mourinho back in 2017. So it's just brilliant, really, and it just feels so good that there's such a good sort of a good calming air around United at the minute. We're not going into matches panicking. We're not going into matches dreading our opposition, no matter who it seems to be. Now we're going into matches now thinking, yeah, it doesn't matter if we don't really play well. We know we're going to come away with either a win or at the very, very worst, a draw out of a game. So it just seems at the minute there's such a great feel-good factor around the club. And much of that to do with Erik Ten Hag. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and he's brought the players back to us. He's made the players back down to our level. Casemiro's been spotted around the local areas with his missus. Erik Ten Hag cycling around the local area. You wouldn't have got that, 7-8 months ago. Stars wouldn't have dared even stepped out on the streets. So it's just nice to see a bit of normality come back. And the West Ham game, mate, we didn't play very well. We looked a little bit leggy, which is, listen, we're playing, a match every 2 or 3 days. We're bound to be leggy, but it's just so great that when we're not playing well, we're always getting the results. We're always thereabouts. We go down, we don't panic. We stop. Panic station's not, again, 7-8 months ago, panic station would have been hit and we would have struggled. Players would have gone hiding. Players not going hiding now. Players want the football. Players want to be on the ball. Players want to take a bit of responsibility. And it's just great to see. It's just absolutely fantastic. West Ham came with a game plan, and their game plan worked for quite a lot of the match, to be fair. And it's over the last sort of 15, 20 minutes, we sort of stepped up, we brought our big guns on off the bench, and we sort of stepped up the last 15, 20 minutes. The energy levels started to rise again, if you will, with that little bit of experience, that little bit of know-how on the pitch. So it's really good to see that, it's really good to see a Manchester United side that not panicking, not hitting the panic button straight away. We go down, we're not playing too well. there's always a feeling in the air that we're going to get a goal at some point, and we know we're going to go charging on. So it's just refreshing to see. The whole place is a buzz. Everybody can't wait for the next game. Like, whereas 7 or 8 months ago, we was dreading the next game, So it's just been a massive few days, and yeah, it's up there. It's up there with some of the great title wins. And people might look at me and laugh and say, "What do you mean the great title wins? It's not going to be up there with 99, the treble season." But I think it's just as important as the treble season. We've got our silverware now under our new manager straight away. None of us thought that at the start of the season we'd have been lucky to get to a cup final at the start of the season, especially after the first couple of games that we had. So listen, I'm absolutely buzzing.
Absolutely. And I was just having a little look at your scarf collection that you got behind there.
That's my son's, actually.
Because, young guy is already out of date, isn't he? Because he's gone for the old Danny DeVito and Matilda hair now. So, that needs a bit of change. But Stu, what's your thoughts been for being a Man United fan this week? It's been something else, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, I'm unfortunately a bit older than most of the panel on here, so I kind of seen it all before. I've been there. I've experienced dross. When I went to my first game in the late 70s, it was mediocrity at best. We weren't great. Sexton was the manager at the time, a revered coach. But just couldn't translate that into management. We had a bit of euphoria under the dock previously, and it was just. And then we had Big Ron coming in. He did his best to try and galvanise the side, and then the rest was history when Sir Alex popped down from across the border. So the euphoria for me is I almost kind of like. Take it quite blasé, really, and people look at me and say, "How can you not be excited?" And that, because it is what it is when it comes to football. You experience the highs and you experience the lows, and we're in this trajectory at the minute. From when you look at our inception, we tend to do this. We have a few years where we're dominant, and then we go into the abyss, and we're coming out of the abyss now, which is great. To watch the lads, I'm still fuming with United. I couldn't get a ticket, but to watch the lads play so well at Wembley was refreshing to see. And I think Benny's right. I think the euphoria for kids of Zane's age. Is he 9 now, or is he still 8?
He's 8, but he's 9 in a couple of days, pal.
I knew his birthday was around this time from last year. So. And that's brilliant to see. Even my lad at 22, he's got this real buzz about him. Whereas myself, Benny Bainesy, yourself, we can feel it. But then we're looking ahead now. We're looking at what
more reserved.
Yeah, we're looking at what can be. And I think Benny was right. I'm sure Bainesy would have come up with the same analysis. We looked a bit leggy. But it was the right thing to do from Ten Hag's perspective, was to change the team and make sure that when we go to the Scousers on Sunday, that we've got a modicum of fitness around us, because we can't keep going and we can't keep doing what we're doing. There's a reason why teams don't win quads. And we're in this cycle of a game every 3-4 days. It's very, very difficult to do that. But what I will say is, as much as Ten Hag deserves enormous credit, there is absolutely no coincidence to the fact that we're playing a brand of football very, very similar to when Mr. McLaren was first with us all those years ago. There is absolutely no coincidence in what's happening with our turn up in form. And secondly, finally, the players have decided to put their own ideas up, and finally the players have decided to get their own thumbs out their arses and decided that they want to play football for this great club. It's not a chore anymore. So it's been a whirlwind. 7 months has he been with us? 8 months?
6,
7 months?
Something like that. Yeah, 7. Yeah, 6 or 7.
Anyway. And it's been a whirlwind for us. And I think he's at least 6 months further on the project than he thought he would be at this time of the year. So it's absolutely brilliant, and I'm delighted to as much as I will. I mean, these guys know me, Baz. I'm very laid back and very relaxed when it comes to football. Unless something really riles me, then I'll go in on it. So yeah, absolutely brilliant to see.
There we go. And pleased that you are calm and relaxed. That means all must be well on the good ship United. So Bainesy, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about this week as well. We haven't really touched on the fact that we also managed to, make Barcelona disappear from the Europa League as well. So, it really has been a heck of a last few results for us.
Yeah, last couple of weeks have just been almost insanity in some sense. I can't remember when it was. I think we was chatting on WhatsApp and someone had put in a list of fixtures, and this was a few weeks ago. And I looked at those fixtures and I went, surely we cannot win all those games. Now, if we were to sacrifice a game, it will be the Leicester game or maybe the West Ham game out of the Cup. I'll much rather we beat Barcelona in Europa League. Obviously, much rather we win the final. I never once thought that we'd come out and beat Leicester. I think it was Leeds, wasn't it? Leeds, Leicester, or Barcelona are in the mix there as well. And then we'd go. We played Barcelona, then the final, then and then we've got midweek at West Ham. I never thought we would come away with 5 or 6 wins on the trot, which is in itself is an amazing achievement. And I think the players should really be held as much as they have their criticism, and deservedly last year they did have their criticism. It should be the opposite now in terms of the amount of praise that they should get, because they're playing for the badge, and you can tell there's a great big family community feel about the place. I've been to Old Trafford numerous times this season. It's just different. It is just different. I can't explain it. Everyone's got an extra spring in their step. Everyone's singing away. Everyone's happy and giddy about stuff. And there are bad moments that happen in a game, but everyone seems to have this positive mentality about it. I remember when we went 1-0 down against City and even Barcelona, and there was 10, 15 people around me went, I still think we can win this game. Now you tell me how many times in the past few years where we've gone 1-0 down at a place and we've gone, I don't know if we can pull this out of the bag. But everyone around me on those 2 particular games went, no, we've got this. 100%, we're going to win this game. And we ended up winning the game. So, yeah, it's a great situation to be in. Now, the absolute icing on the cake, the cherry on top, would be to go to Anfield and turn them over. Oh, how amazing would that be after all the runs? And I've had so many rival fans in group chats and in football group chats that I've got. And, a few weeks ago, they were putting out our fixture list and went, yeah, there's absolutely no way United get through all of this. And I didn't say anything at the time because I actually believed them. And if we go and turn them over on Sunday, it will just be an absolute. It will be like winning the league again. Honestly, it's that euphoric, and the whole fan base for 6 years have been starving. That we really have been starving for something like this. So, yeah, I'm excited. My head's telling me that I think it will be a draw. My heart's telling me that we'll absolutely wipe the floor with them. But in this type of game, I think form certainly goes out the window. We look leggy, like Stu said. You can tell that we're a team that play midweek and on a Saturday, Sunday. You can just tell by the way we start games. The first 15, 20 minutes, we're just leggy. We don't look like we've upped our tempo. But it does seem like in the second half, if we're 1-0 down, if it's 0-0, we come out firing. We end up getting a goal really early. So that's really positive. But again, Anfield is a different beast, is a different animal in that respect. So if we do turn up in the first 15, 20 minutes a bit leggy, then it could be curtains. But, who knows with this team? They've thrown us so many surprises over the last few weeks. And I think for the first time in a long time, we can really believe that we could go far, certainly. But yeah, great few weeks. Absolutely fantastic few weeks.
Belief has to be the big word there. I mean,
yeah,
we've had a few conversations over these last few weeks, and every time I've been there, same even with the Barcelona game, you sit there and think, well, this is what happens, we lose. We get ourselves nearly there, sort of like the nearly men.
Mhm.
And I thought, again, even West Ham, we go 1-0 down. And I thought, well, that's just typical, isn't it? We've been all over them, and now this is what's going to happen. But deep down, you just have that little flicker that's going, hang on a minute, though. It's different. And this is what we were saying. We've celebrated the Carabao Cup win. I know there's been a lot of mockery on bird apps and things like that. Oh, the Mickey Mouse trophy. Yes, we know it is. But it feels different. It feels different to when Mourinho won it, because there wasn't, I don't think, that same feel for the future under Mourinho.
It's the league form. It's the league form. When Mourinho won it, we were 6th or 7th at the time.
Like that, yeah.
It was the league form for me, and that's why it feels different. And even if we go out and win an FA Cup or Europa, maybe it's certainly the league form and our performances in the league which make us believe that we're onto something. Even Mourinho's first year, we all thought, right, okay, it's a good season. Obviously, it's a good season. We've won 2 trophies. We're packing the Champions League, but the league is what we want. The league form is the most important. But certainly this year it does feel a lot different, winning the League Cup, and we're 3rd in the league, 3 points behind title contenders City. So yeah, it's certainly a good place to be right now as a United fan.
So onwards, looking to the weekend, which is where we're supposed to be. And let's be honest, it's a big one. It's a massive one. And I think what's even better about this one is that if we know our history when it comes to Manchester United and Liverpool, specifically recent history, we beat them 2-1. And that gave Erik Ten Hag his first win as a Manchester United manager. We probably should have known then, really, shouldn't we? You know, that's it's like the little marker that he's laid down. If I'm going to pick a game that's going to be the first game to win, might as well make
that
it
one.
For you. That'll be good.
I imagine.
Who needs to win against Brentford? No, let's choose Liverpool. Much better choice. So, brilliant stuff there. I've done what I always do. Benny will appreciate this. I've gone to find some stats about where we're doing at the moment. And we've got 1 more clean sheet than Liverpool have got so far. We've scored 1 more goal than Liverpool have scored so far. Liverpool have had more shots than us, 391 to 348. They've had, I've chosen this one because I think it's a ridiculous statistic to have, but they've had 18,673 touches. Who is counting that? What a rubbish job that is. That's horrific. 1, 2. You can't even enjoy the match with that one. That's worse than
you
a
can't.
We've got 16,215, but the best one, the one I enjoyed the most, and one that I hope continues, Liverpool are top of the table for the amount of big chances missed. They've missed 52. We've missed 40. We're about 5th. That's going to happen. With the more shots you have, the more chances there are you're going to miss them. I get that. But this isn't the same Liverpool team that we were talking about over the last couple of years. Something has gone incredibly wrong for Liverpool this year. What do you think it is, Benny? And does that give you a real feeling that we're going to do the double over them this year?
I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a great insight to Liverpool themselves, but I think it's an aging squad. The midfield's aging, the back line's aging. And much like what we went through when Sir Alex Ferguson retired, you're left with an aging squad. And if you don't keep refreshing your squad, you don't keep rebuilding your squad and adding new additions in, you become stale, you become stagnant. And I think that's what's happened to Liverpool. However, the big talking point is we haven't beat Liverpool since 2016 at Anfield. We're not beating them. We're not beating them since January 2016, I think it was. So it's a big ask. And I went last season to Anfield and we were absolutely battered. And I felt lowest of low that day. I really did. And I'm going to Anfield, fortunately, again on Sunday. So hopefully this time I can see a United win, which is a long time in the making, really. I said, despite Liverpool's struggles this season, it's going to be a hell of a match. They're not going to make it. It's not going to be the same Liverpool side that has been sort of been found wanting this season. It's going to be a Liverpool side pumped up and ready to go. It's the biggest game in English football. If you can't get yourselves up for the biggest game in English football when you're playing for either side, then you don't belong playing for either United or Liverpool. And it's one of those where I think Erik Ten Hag was asked about the ferocious Anfield atmosphere, which is the biggest myth of English football. There's this thing you'll ever walk alone and then shut up for the next 45 minutes unless they score. Honestly, I think Erik Ten Hag would have had more ferocious atmosphere at the Camp Nou a few weeks ago. So I don't think that will overawe us. But I think the occasion, as long as we don't play the occasion, we play our game. We stick to playing the football that we've been playing over the last since coming back from the World Cup. Really, that our football. We don't go and play into their hands. We don't go. We don't want to go hiding. We don't want to go back into our old selves again. We don't want to go back into our shell. We want to come and play good, positive football. Take the game to them. Attack their fullbacks, because I think, especially if someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold, you're going to get behind him all day long. Whoever plays down that side, whether it be Rashford or whether he'll go Sancho, put Rashford through the centre, whatever plans he may have. I don't think Robertson is all that great at full-back either. He's probably, especially this season, again, depending on who he plays on the right-hand side, how he sets up, I think we could get him behind there if he does go for Sancho on the right-hand side or Anthony on the right-hand side. It'd be a bit different if he went for Bruno, but we could spend all day, debating how he was set up. But I just think we need to go there with a positive attitude. And I think under Erik Ten Hag, we will go there with a positive attitude. We will go there to play our game of football. We won't stoop to their level. We won't, we won't go missing like we have done over the last few years at Anfield, especially. I think we'll go there, renewed confidence. I think, yes, we look a little bit leggy. Like I said, it's West Ham, but I think you live when you're a professional footballer, you live to play the big games, the big occasions. So I think everybody will have a spring in their step. The good positive vibes will give them that extra little bit of go juice, I think, in the old legs. And I think just don't be overawed. Just don't be overawed, because everyone gets on about this Anfield atmosphere. So I don't know why the press bother asking Ten Hag about it. It's an absolute myth. They're saying you'll ever walk alone, and that's it. And that's about it. Football atmosphere has been on its ass in this country for a number of years now. It's not as ferocious as it used to be. The only place that is, to be fair, I would argue, is Ellen Road, and that does get and again, Ellen Road, we did well that particular afternoon. So we just play our game of football. Just be positive. Don't shy away from the ball. With the likes of Casemiro back now as well. So he's always looking for the ball. He's always wanting the ball, and we've got players that are in such fine fettle and such fine form now. Nobody wants to go hiding. So just play our games. What I'd say. Don't play the occasion.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful point. And we're bringing up a lot at the moment about how we were leggy against West Ham, Stu. The good news is, of course, that Liverpool also played on the same night that we played. They had a 2-0 win against Wolves. So they've had a tough, hard game as well, with a few of their players coming back. Tell us a bit about how you feel the game is going to go, but also how important it was in the end, do you think, for us to have got, Garnacho, to have got that goal and avoided extra time and penalties if we were leggy anyway? Or do you think there would have been some form of rotation again into the game at the weekend that would have negated that?
Yeah, the interesting thing about our squad at the minute is people talk about rotation all the time, but you're actually rotating with first-team players. A lot of squads are rotating with genuine substitutes. We're actually rotating with first-team players. You take Maguire and switch in for for Martinez, Lindelof for Varane. There's no huge difference really in our output. Same with Sabitzer. If you take, you move him in for Fred, etc. There's no real difference in our output. Our main issue is going to be, and Benny's right, by the way, there is no Anfield atmosphere. It's a complete waste of time. I stood in the Kop, scalped a ticket in 1988 and watched Gordon Strachan score a late equaliser there and go and kiss the crowd, They're just a bunch of idiots, basically. They know nothing about football and don't appreciate football. And where we are at the moment is our task will be keeping hold of that football for the first. Baines was absolutely 100% on the button here. The first 15 to 20 minutes are going to be absolutely crucial in this game on Sunday, because Liverpool will hit us, and they will hit us hard. So when we do gain possession of it, we need to be very, very economical with that football. And you've almost got to cover it in some kind of shroud so that we can keep hold of it for 5, maybe 6 minutes and allow us to kind of build our own play into this game. We cannot, like Arsenal did, if you remember when we went down to the Emirates, we had this 1 or 2 minute great start, and then all of a sudden Arsenal thought, hold on, whatever, swatted us aside like flies because we weren't cool enough and cute enough at that particular time to play our normal game. We've got some real experience in our squad as well. Benny mentioned that we haven't beaten Liverpool since 2016 on their own turf. Was it John O'Shea, Benny, that got the last winning goal? No,
it was Juan Mata, wasn't it?
Juan Mata. Was it Juan Mata that got the last winning goal? I can't remember now.
He did that bicycle kick. I'm sure it was then, wasn't it?
Was that O'Shea the year before then?
O'Shea was back in 2000.
No, O'Shea was years ago. Yeah,
O'Shea's back in 2000. I'm losing my bearings now. I'll tell you why I'm losing my bearings. I saw it on Twitter this morning.
Okay. Yeah, that last minute goal, wasn't it? Ronaldo,
yeah, last minute goal, 1-0. Yeah, that's why I'm losing my bearings. Well, what I was going to say,
that was almost like 20 years ago.
I can't remember. I've completely lost me. It's because I say I saw it in Twitter. I know everyone's talking about the Wanfield. That's it. Old Wanfield.
Yeah, Juan Mata. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say was, anyway, on a more up-to-date note, is that when we've been to Anfield the last 5-6 years, we haven't had the quality and the calibre of player like a Casemiro, like a Varane, like an Eriksen that's in and around the squad, and his influence is still there. You can see Bruno's a more seasoned professional now. Wan-Bissaka's coming back into some kind of form. Luke Shaw's been playing well all season. We were more rounded and a more balanced. 2007, that was it, yeah. A more rounded and more balanced squad. And that's going to be our trump card as opposed to what Liverpool are. Liverpool will probably on Sunday get a little bit nervous if they can't hit us and score in the first 20, 25 minutes. The other good thing about it is if you take Nunes out of the equation, they're not particularly tall up front. They're not particularly powerful in their running. And I think it'll be quite a nice, easy afternoon once we settle into the game for the likes of Casemiro. And if he plays Fred, I'd be tempted to play Sabitzer and rest Fred on Sunday. But it'll be crucial if we can get hold of that midfield area, stop Thiago playing. I don't think he's injured, so stop Thiago playing and get at them. Benny was right there, to identify Robertson and also Trent at the minute. We can get him behind them. I think Anthony and Rashford will do quite well getting him behind. But then you've got our absolute gem of a centre forward in Weghorst.
Love him.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah, he's an absolute gem. He is. I'm not interested whether he scores goals or not. I'm interested in what he does for our team, and I'm not going to debate with everybody because people, if you don't get football, you don't get Weghorst. I'm sorry, it's that simple. Benny will know.
When we're talking about things that we like that Weghorst does, can we just take a moment to appreciate how he got absolutely nothing on that equaliser, but ran away and waved his hands about in the air as if he'd scored? I genuinely thought he'd scored.
I thought he scored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
I right, you were miles off.
If I was Weghorst, I'd be claiming it. No problem. What he does is he's a phenomenon. The fullbacks he gives no time whatsoever. Van Dijk will hate him because he's big, strong. He's as tall as Van Dijk, but he's more athletic than Van Dijk. He'll come deep for the ball and he'll use the ball. Where we don't use him right is he's not quick enough. Once he lays the ball off, and Benny and Baines will know this, he can't get into the box because when you got Rashford and Anthony there, they're going at such a pace. And the other thing is, when he is in the box, you're not going to get the ball in from Rashford and Anthony either. You're not going to get a cross in. Very rarely Anthony will cross, and Rashford. When was the last time Rashford put a cross in the box? Anyone tell me? I
think it was any
remember.
time soon. I can't really remember.
But if we play our, as Benny said, if we play our normal game, we don't play the occasion. I think we'll slightly just edge it, but I think it's going to be a hugely, hugely difficult game. I really do.
Mm.
Absolutely. I've got to give a shout out as well to Benny's go-go juice in the legs, which is something I've never heard before, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to.
Have you noticed none of the Liverpool squad have got asthma all of a sudden?
Their pumps have run out.
It's nuts, isn't it? Nuts, yeah. No
We
coincidence.
also need to take a moment just to point out this isn't me. Connor comes and watches, and rather than doing it in his own YouTube account, he decides that I put these things up on the screen. It makes it look like I'm talking to myself as if I need some sort of publicity. I don't. This isn't me. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. He decided to have a beard rating, and Connor gave it to Bainesy because of course he would. And then poor Brendan pops in and goes, "Stu never stood a chance."
That's because I had the old shaver on it because I knew we were having people around tonight, so I had to try to tidy myself up. Fucking hell, Jesus!
I couldn't believe we've had it either. I'm gobsmacked. Benny is fuming now. He's probably never coming on again because he's had his beard disrespected over Bainesy. Honestly, the havoc this guy creates. It's outrageous.
Fucking Benny's about to get his razor out himself now, aren't you? He's
the virus.
We've got to wait for Martha Harris to score a penalty until that happens.
I'd like to know, with all due respect, Baines, why Baines has got the best beard anyway.
I don't know. People love my beard for some reason.
I'd like an explanation.
Right, so Connor's going to have to explain it.
Yeah.
That's your job, Connor. Get yourself on there. And whilst we're waiting for that, we will go to the best beard on All for United. And just going to ask you a little bit. You mentioned about Thiago, Stu.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, there is no Thiago, no Luis Diaz, and no Joe Gomez. There could be a Keita and a Milo, but Milo's only played one game, so he's a bit pointless. And of course, Nunez and Canate were back at in the midweek match. So that's the Liverpool team. Obviously, for us, we've got Sancho and Shaw back in contention. Do you see there being any major changes, Bainesy? And how do you see this game going?
To be honest, I wouldn't change the team. I would actually play the same team that we played in the final, if obviously everyone is not injured. So I wouldn't change that, because then if we are chasing a goal or if we need a goal, you got Sancho, you got Garnacho, Sabitzer can come on, Scott McTominay can do a job now and then, and if we're obviously defending a goal, if we're 2-1 or if it's 1-0, which I highly doubt, we can bring on Maguire, who seems to be solid on coming off the bench. So I would play the team that we played in the final. I think they're the 11 that's sort of guaranteed to come out and play the best. I think not many people will disagree that they are probably the best 11 that we've got at the moment. And then of course we've got options off the bench. So I don't know how this game's going to go. If I'm being totally honest, it's all about the first 20 minutes for me. I think the first 20 minutes can win or lose the game. If we come out the first 20, 25 minutes and it's still 0-0, then we've got a great shout of winning the game and stealing it or getting a goal just before half time. If it's 1-0 or 2-0 to Liverpool before half time, I think the game's already done. I think that's too much of an ask to do at Anfield. So yeah, I think the first 20 minutes for me is the most important, and it has been actually recently. If you look past at our previous games, Leicester should have been 1-0 up, 2-0 up at that time. You could argue Newcastle could have scored as well in the first 20 minutes. Obviously, Barcelona did. So yeah, it's the first 20 minutes for me at Anfield, especially at Anfield. If they get an early goal, the place is just going to erupt, because it's just that kind of game. And it's that age-old thing now, isn't it? It's, you tell your players, don't give the fans something to cheer about. Shut them up. That's the first thing you do. Shut up the fans, because if the fans get behind them, then again, it's like the 12th man, isn't it? But yes, don't come out slow is my thing, and see how we get on in the first half.
Will be interesting though. Sorry, Barry. It'll be interesting though whether he'll go for Wan-Bissaka over Dalot.
Yeah,
that's the only one that I would maybe look at from the final, because Dalot, I think, still getting back into the, because obviously he's had a bit of an injury layoff previously. I still think he's still trying to get back into full match rhythm. So I just wonder if he may look at
Wan-Bissaka gets in for me, Ben. Wan-Bissaka plays all day long for me, Benny. I think Dalot's still injured,
Yeah, he could have a point there, because he just doesn't look quite up to the actual match rhythm yet. I don't think, he still looks like a yard or two short of genuine match rhythm.
Yeah,
good point. I was going to ask you, Benny, the one name obviously that's missing, we think, from the team sheet again with a hip injury is Anthony Martial. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on this guy, because he came in with quite a heavy price tag at the time when we bought him. I think it was about 50 million we paid for him. He won our hearts very quickly by scoring a couple of goals in big matches, and he's sort of one of those. He's a patchy player. Where do you see the future for Martial? Would he have been helpful in this game, do you think, at the weekend?
Just before you start that, Benny, I'm going to have to shoot, guys. It's 22 almost already.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right.
Bye,
before you do then, Stu, we'll put that question on part for Benny. We'll ask you very quickly, how do you think the game is going to end up? Liverpool have only lost one out of their last 34 home games. That was to dirty Leeds, 2-1. Can we beat them? And if so, what will the score be?
I think it's going to be very, very tight, and I think we will possibly go one goal down. I think we'll end up winning 3-2.
Bloody hell, my heart can't take a 3-2.
Yeah, I think it'll be a high scoring game. I know it sounds ridiculous when you say it'll be a close game, but I think it'll be a high scoring game, and I think that we'll end up winning 3-2. And I think I will forgive Garnacho's blonde mess if he scores the winner, because if I was in that dressing room, he'd have got a clip round the ear and some clippers. I don't know what his hairdresser was thinking, and it's kids of today. I get it all, but
we all know Stu doesn't like posers.
Yes, exactly. He's doing all right, but I think it'll be 3-2. I think Liverpool score first, and I'm afraid to say it won't be the donkey that is Nunes. I think Mo Salah will score. He's finding a little bit of form again, isn't he? Yes. For us, I'm going to go with Marcus. I think Rashford will score. I'm going to back Weghorst to pop one on with his nut. I think he's going to head. I think it'll go 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. I think we'll go 2-1 down again. Then I think we'll draw, come back to 2-2, and I think we'll scrape the winner in the last 10 minutes. And it'll be Garnacho for me. So that's how I think it will play out. Please be wrong, and we absolutely hammer them 6-0. I would love that, but I think it's going to be a very, very, very tight game.
Stu, I'll send you a lot of money if we win 6-0.
My bank account is on the way. All right, guys. Thank you ever so much.
See you later. Take care.
See you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And with that leaves us with the 3 Bs and the 3 beards. So there we go. So Benny, the Martial question. We're back to you. Thanks for holding and letting Stu finish off there.
No worries, pal. I have to be careful what I say, because Martial's actually one of my son's favourite players. Always has been. But remember, he burst onto the scene. I'm not trying to use a buddy Mickey Richards expression, but he burst onto the scene, scoring against Liverpool at Old Trafford, if you remember, all that time back when he first signed. It's just frustrating not to have him, because there's a player in there, and he has shown at times there is a player in there, and he can score goals. And him and Rashford play very well together. They work off each other really well. He just can't keep himself fit. He seems to play one game, and he's doing his great Phil Jones impression, and he's out for the next 10, 15 games again. Obviously not to the level of Phil Jones, obviously, but it just seems that he can never get himself fit. He seems to be fit for 1 minute, play X amount of minutes on a football field, and then he's missing again. And it's a big shame, because during pre-season, I thought, hold on, Martial's on fire there. Have we got the Martial that we all know and love back again? The Martial of during the lockdown times was hitting everything going in the back of the net. when him and Marcus Rashford were on absolute fire. It's just disappointing because I think there's a player in there. I think people might say, "Oh, his demeanour, he's always he looks a bit sulky," he's quite deadpan. But Nicolas Anelka was exactly the same. I don't know whether it's a French thing. I don't know, but he just, he's a good player. There's a player in there, but unfortunately, he just can't seem to keep himself fit, which is the most frustrating thing. And whether he'll be in after the summer window shuts, I don't know. I suppose it all depends on himself and what Erik Ten Hag's got planned for the future. But I'd have loved him. For even if he's just fit enough to come off the bench. I'd have loved him as an extra option, attacking option off the bench, because he gives you something a little bit different to a Weghorst, a little bit different to a Marcus Rashford, a little bit different to a Alejandro-Garnacho. He's a different option, a different type of player. But unfortunately, he just can't seem to. I keep going back to it. He just can't seem to get himself fit, which is the biggest shame.
It is a shame. Who knows? We need a hip replacement. We need a Martial replacement. I don't know, but hopefully the young man will get himself back to where he was. Bainesy, Mo Salah has, in the midweek game, got a 20th goal for Liverpool for the 6th time in a row. Having said that, Marcus Rashford this season is knocking his scoring records absolutely out of the water. He has been superb this season. I'm thinking about 24, 25 already. The guy's doing 25. Outrageous. 25. It's outrageously well at the moment. Could it be the tale of these two strikers? Is it, Salah's coming back into form, Rashford's bang on it at the moment? Would you say these are where the defenders will be being told to keep their eyes out the most? And is that what's going to lead to room for people like Garnacho and such like Nunez maybe to try and exploit?
Certainly. Honestly, you could throw, for the last few weeks, we've been talking about how inevitable Haaland's been for City, and how great Salah has been for Liverpool over the years. And, people call him Mr. Inevitable as well. But I truly believe we've got our own Mr. Inevitable, which is Marcus Rashford. Everything he does at the moment, it turns to gold. Yes, you're absolutely bang on the money. We utilise Marcus Rashford, and other players can thrive on that. We've seen, obviously, Anthony, Sancho, even Bruno Fernandes coming into the game more as Marcus is the main threat, and that's what defenders would look at. He seems to be getting goals out of nowhere, and that's a special quality to have, especially right now. And look, it will be a tale of Marcus Rashford versus whether it would be Trent or Robertson, whatever wing he wants to play on. But at the same time, we do have to be careful with Salah, because Darwin Núñez is also starting to come into his form. I think he's got a couple of goals now in the last couple of games. I could be wrong there, but he's fired them in. And if you look closely to who's getting the assist of those goals, it's usually Salah. And then when Salah scores, you look at who's providing the assist, and it's usually Núñez. So they are the two danger men for Liverpool at the moment. Of course, everyone else, Thiago, Trent, Robertson, they're always going to pose a threat, especially how fast Liverpool play at 100 mile an hour all the time. But I truly believe if we want to try and keep Salah quiet, we need to play Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We need to play Luke Shaw. He's done it plenty of times before, and he can do it again. And as for Rashford, just keep doing what he's doing. He's proving everyone wrong, and every single goal that he scores, it seems to be the greatest fuck you to all his critics. And I really hope that we'll get the better edge of Liverpool, and hopefully Marcus can score, because that will just be a icing on the cake. It will be those two players, 100%. I think whoever really turns up out of those two will end up winning the game for their team. But Rashford, I hope I hope he's not injured because I don't want to get that Rashford. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Jarvis is saying it. So I hope we don't get that Rashford of old when he was playing through his injuries because he forces things a bit too much. I hope he is fit. There were doubts, wasn't it, that because I think he went down in a game and he was holding his shoulder, and I'm thinking if that's an injury, that's what he's had before, where he's had surgery on that shoulder, then we're going to have an issue here. But he seemed to be, when he came on a sub, he also created a couple of chances as well. So yeah, I don't think we got much to worry about his injury. I just hope he doesn't get injured. But out of them two, Salah and Rashford, it's going to be whoever turns up on the day and is really up for it. Their team will win the game, and they will win it for them.
Absolutely. Benny, I've seen some things on Twitter going on as we do. And there has been one particular one that I saw where a Liverpool and Manchester United mixed 11 was made. And somehow there were 7 Liverpool players and 4 Manchester United players. I think Rashford was obviously one of them. Casemiro was one of them. I think Varane made it. Ahead of like Martinez. I can't remember who the other one was, but it was a midfielder, I think. It got me thinking. I really sat and thought about that. And I thought, if you asked me this question a year ago, 2 years ago, then I think some of us would be saying we'd probably like Trent to be at right back. We'd probably be calling in for the likes of Mo Salah. There have been lots of people that we'd have aimed for. Even Jordan Henderson would have had a shout of potentially being asked to come into the team. I just wanted to sort of ask now, is there any Liverpool players that you would happily pick up and put into the Manchester, ignore the rivalries and all that sort of stuff? Is there any there that you think would really complement the team? Because I was going through the list of players that we've got at the moment, and genuinely, the only one I could think of was like a Mo Salah, really. Other than that, I'm not convinced there's anyone there that would really, really improve the starting 11 that we've got.
First of all, I think people have got time to sit down and do these mixed 11s are absolute idiots for a start. Why people do it, I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't take any Liverpool player and put it in our squad at the minute. I'm not being funny, not even Salah. Why? Can he play Ten Hag ball? I don't think so.
Don't ask
the thing is, though, with these mixed 11s, I find it so funny because it's never done impartially, is it? Everyone's going to, favour having more of their team in it than the opposition team. I just find it a bunch of rubbish now that the new social media age has come up with again. Just rubbish. You look at Sky Sports, everything, they've got that idiot Goldbridge on. Oh, I'll have this and that, and they're all debating. Fuck off. Just do the game. Debate the game. What's with all this mixing squads together? I don't get it. I just... Listen, we're Manchester United. We don't need no Liverpool players, mate. I couldn't give a damn who they've got, who's on fire for them. At the end of the day, we can all appreciate good footballers. At the end of the day, Mo Salah's a great footballer. I hardly admit that, but I don't get all these mixed 11s. I really don't. I don't get all this combined teams and just get on with it. It's just an old just faffing around. Debate the game. Debate the game, debate the teams, debate the scoreline, debate how many corner kicks are going to be in the game. But all this rubbish about mixed 11s, I couldn't give a toss, mate. To be fair, I really couldn't. It's another one of my bugbears that comes with modern day football. I'm like, I don't care. I seriously don't care.
Say, I didn't expect that, but we live and learn. We live and learn as a host, and I feel like there should be a new song there. We're Man United. We don't need your squad. So There we go. Very, very good. So with that in mind, let's ask you some questions that you would like, Benny. How many corners are there going to be in this match?
Oh, God. Dug myself in that one, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
I don't know how many corners it's going to be, but, I don't know. I just find it baffling. All these
it's just a talking point, I think.
To be fair,
it is a talking point. I know, but
I think really the point I was trying to get at from that, and the way in which I was trying to drive towards it, just in a slightly more creative fashion, is that the Liverpool side, as we said, has dropped back, And it just shows what a cracking job Ten Hag has done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You couldn't have that argument now anymore.
Absolutely. But as I said before, though, you can't still write Liverpool off yet, though, either, because they're going to be up for this. Yes, it is an aging squad, but it's a squad that with an aging squad, you've still got that experience, they've got that know-how. As I said, we've not beat Liverpool at Anfield since 2016.
You only really have to go back.
And there's still really good players at Liverpool Football Club. Don't get me wrong. Whether some of them are out of form this season or they're carrying injuries, I don't know. I don't know much about Liverpool on a personal level. But apart from what information that we get from the media or what have you, or what we see on the television screens or in the football stadiums, but listen, I just think that we should all be happy with the squad that we've got at the minute and the way that Erik Ten Hag, the job that Erik Ten Hag's doing, and the players that Erik Ten Hag entrusts, because listen, people, Weghorst might have his critics, but I think he's done superbly well. I wouldn't swap Wout Weghorst for Mo Salah, to be fair. Wout does a job. He's in there because Erik Ten Hag is specifically seen what sort of abilities and attributes that Wout could bring to his way of playing football. I think gone are the days that we go Galacticos now. Or yes, we're just bringing players in for names and shirt signings, and because they lit up the Premier League for the last 5-10 years, or the lit up La Liga for the last 5-10 years, whatever it may be. There's now a manager in there now. He's clued up. He's got a plan. He's already identified players that can fit. It's like all this talk about if we get taken over by the Qataris. People are saying we should sack Ten Hag if he doesn't want Mbappe. Fuck Mbappe. If he doesn't fit in Ten Hag's system, he doesn't get him. Ten Hag's not going to want him, no matter if he has got unlimited funds. He'll only choose and pick the players that fit his system, that fit his style of football, that fits his philosophy, that fit his rules. It's just. Yeah, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, mate. I'm too old-fashioned.
Nothing wrong with being old-fashioned, mate. Nothing wrong with that at all. Baines, I'm going to let you answer this question because if I'm honest, I'm frightened what Benny might say. Who do you think starts with Canate or Matic?
Canate's injured, is he not? Or is he back now?
He had his back. He was back on Wednesday.
So, then probably Canate. Probably Canate. If we're being totally honest, though, I would prefer Matic because he's had some absolutely shocking games recently. It's certainly not going to be Gomez because he's had some shockers. But yeah, Canate and Van Dijk seem to have a very good partnership. Again, it's all just to allude to the squad topic that we just had. If you look back in the years when United were challenging for the titles and we would go to Anfield, they would always end up turning up against us. And you look at their squad and you think, what a load of dross this is. But they always end up turning up because form does go out the window. It's, this game is ferocious. And look what happened last year. Yeah, look what happened last year. I mean, we got humiliated by Liverpool. And I really do hope that the players can look at that last year and use that as fuel and go back and go, right, it's time to really put a stamp on this league and go out there on Sunday and beat them. We don't have to beat them 5-0. You don't have to beat them 4-0, 3-0. Yeah. Beat them 1, even a 1-0 at Anfield, a clean sheet. Could you imagine?
I could. The
statement that sends out to the rest of the league. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, going back to your point, Canate most probably, if he's fit, then it will be Canate and Van Dijk, I imagine.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk a little bit about the managers because Jürgen Klopp in his press conference, he's being really nice. He's saying
rattled, isn't he?
He is. There's some really interesting things being said by you. I mean, it says rattled by Erik Ten Hag. I really should look at what the title of our shows are. To be honest with you, maybe I should have started with this, but never mind. Connor's not watching now, so we're all good. But he's literally come out. And he's saying things like, as the manager of Liverpool, you're not supposed to say anything nice about Manchester United, but... And he's been doing lots of that, Marcus Rashford, it's not up to me to whether or not he's doing any good, but I'm really pleased with him as a player. He's coming out with all of this sort of stuff. But the thing that stuck out for me from his press conference was the brilliant mind games. He's done all that nicely. And the thing that he said is, somebody asked him, is it a bit weird that you haven't had any penalties given for you in this season's Premier League? it's like, yeah, that is a little bit weird. And what I find interesting about that is it's one of those things that just sort of places it into the media. The referee's going to see that.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, there's that little plant of, oh, they haven't had one yet. And
You
it
plant the
just
seed.
makes you wonder as to what they're going to do there. But having said that, Ten Hag's been equally as good in the media as well. How impressed have you been? Because I think this is the best manager we've had since Fergie, bar none. Not just because of the great season he's having, but because of the way he's handling the big names, because of the way he's handling the media. He doesn't suffer fools. Just everything he's doing is reminiscent of the big man himself, Mr. Alex Ferguson. Sir, sorry. Sorry, Bainesy, I was asking there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Look, no. Well, look, I think there was I forgot that the girl's name for Sky Sports, South African lady, really high pitched voice, Melissa Reddy. Yeah. So she did an interview with Ten Hag a long time ago. This was when he first got appointed, and she said that she was quite struck back on how important Erik Ten Hag found it that he took in what Sir Alex and what Manchester is all about, the city, the culture, the people, and then you get a feeling of what the club is like, and it does give you reminders of how Sir Alex also dealt with the media. Now, a long time ago, I'm not sure if people remember in the comments, I'm sure you guys do, that Sir Alex Ferguson ran the media, the press conferences. You know, if you pissed him off, you weren't in that conference room the week later. And I think you start to earn that respect and you demand that respect. And I feel like that's what Erik Ten Hag is doing. He does handle his press conferences really well. He's well spoken. And I think what happened with Klopp, he was very erratic when he did seem rattled. It did seem like, you know, why are we talking so much about Man United? Or, you know, why should we? We're Liverpool. It's like, and those kind of things there that tell me that, okay, they're clearly fucked off, that United are back, let's say. But yeah, going back to Erik Ten Hag and the media and those feelings, where he had dinner with him, with Sir Alex Ferguson. Was it just before Barcelona? Was it?
Yeah.
And he had dinner with him just before Barcelona. He did his press conference, and what was the first thing he said? "We need you at Old Trafford." These are the type of things Fergie used to say. These were the type of things that Fergie used to say. He used to always address the fans, and he goes, "Look, I need you. We need the 12th man. We need this. We need that." You'd always play mind games with the referees. These are the kind of things that Fergie used to do, and now it's good that Erik Ten Hag is picking these things up, and rightfully so. This feeds back into the fans. This feeds back into the club, the players. So yeah, look, I'm all for it. I'm all for mind games. I love a bit of shithousery as well. But we got to be very careful, because I didn't actually know about that comment from Klopp about the penalties, because the last time he spoke about penalties and United, we never got a penalty for about, what was it, like 15 or 20 games ever since he opened his mouth. And now he's opened his mouth just before this game. I would guarantee you Liverpool get a penalty now. Now he said that, I'm going to put money on it. I'm going to put money on it that Liverpool get a penalty on Sunday. Because he said that in the press conference. But let's see.
And I have to point out, it was the journalist that asked the question, but you do just sometimes wonder, as this journalist.
They plant the seed. All these journalists, they all are the Liverpool fans, and you have it at United press conferences. You've got Laurie Whitwell there, who's a massive Man United fan for the Athletic. So yeah, these journalists are definitely Liverpool fans, and if he wants to plant the seed through the media, and he can certainly do that, then fine, you go ahead and do that. It wouldn't really surprise me now, because referees do look at the media. They do look at stats. They do look at who dives and what to look out for in players. And if they do feel like, oh look, Liverpool haven't had a penalty for 20 odd games, we'll look out for that then, shall we? It's all mind games. It's all mind games, and it wouldn't surprise me that there is a penalty now on Sunday.
So Benny Bainesy mentions it there about Alex Ferguson and Ten Hag having that dinner together. And I think that's the big thing, is that he got the biggest cheer. When we lifted the Carabao Cup, it wasn't the players that were getting the cheer, it was Erik. Because I think everybody sees and properly respects the job that he's doing, the way that he's going about it. He's calm, he's quiet, but clearly knows what he's doing. He's got a plan. He's confident with what he's doing. What was really interesting, again, in those press conferences that he has, I mean, he forgot the Carabao Cup. He just went, oh, don't worry, we're going to get another one. You know, he wasn't too fussed about that. He just laughs it off. And then he says things like, this is the club for me. It's this way in which he's trying to ingratiate himself, not just as part of Man United history, but as one of us, as we're all together. And this is what Ferguson did. He had an us against the world mentality. It was, we're Man United, the rest of you can do one. It's all about us as a club. And that seems to me to be what he's building. You look at someone like Jürgen Klopp, who says things like, we were, doing really well for a while and people were really annoyed at us, saying, look how he's always bringing the youth through, look how he's always doing this, and it gets really boring. And now it's happening to Ten Hag and the same thing will happen there. He's deflecting. He's clearly trying to push some of this pressure onto Erik Ten Hag and off of himself. But make no mistake about it, Liverpool are the ones that are under pressure. And when I say Liverpool, I'm talking about the managers. Klopp is under pressure because they've gone from being what should have been title contenders to really hoping they can beat Spurs for the top four. Whereas for Ten Hag, his star's just rising.
I think with Klopp as well, it's probably his biggest challenge in his football managerial career, really. He left Dortmund at a great time, when he became Liverpool manager. I think this is arguably his biggest ever test in football management. I've never known it. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really know the ins and outs of Jürgen Klopp all that well, but I don't think he's ever had to rebuild a squad completely like he's looked like he has to do at Liverpool, where there is aging players, like I've said before, and he's looking for a rebuild. And usually he's the one that's laughing and joking with the press in previous years. This year, is, as Bainesy said, as everyone else has said as well, he's looking really rattled. Excuses. And let's be fair, these have been coming for the last couple of years now as well. The excuses he comes up with for defeats or for reasons why his team is not playing very well are laughable. Or the pitch is too wet, the crowd's too noisy, the wind's blowing the wrong direction. Whatever excuses he comes up with, he looks really rattled. Whereas Erik Ten Hag, he doesn't look like the kind of person that gets rattled. I love Ten Hag's press conferences. They try and get a rise out of Ten Hag. They try and get they try and push information out of him, whether it would be whatever subject they want to push out of him. And Erik Ten Hag just doesn't play to it. He gives simple one-worded answers sometimes, or keeps things very, very simple. And Ten Hag just looks like a manager that's enjoying his job, And I think let's be fair to Ten Hag. I know the Dutch. I know a lot of Dutch fans want him to maybe be the next Dutch national team manager, but I think for Ten Hag, he's in the biggest job that he's ever going to get in his career, and he's taken to it, and he's taken to the culture of Manchester United, and he loves that culture. And it's the first manager since Alex Ferguson that's embraced the culture as well. David Moyes was probably, the job was too big for him. I don't think it was the right time for David Moyes in hindsight. Jose Mourinho, we all know it's just about him. Louis van Gaal had his own philosophy, and it was boring the pants off people falling asleep, left, right, and centre at Old Trafford. Even though I think Van Gaal might have warranted more time after the FA Cup win, but obviously when Mourinho's available, the club try to get obviously want to get Mourinho for this pedigree. Ralph Rangnick was an absolute, he pointed things out, but at the end of the day, he was an absolute disaster. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, yes, he got the club, he got the ethos of the club. He was a player, obviously a former player of us, an absolute legend. He got the club, and he did. And he gets a lot of bad press, Solskjaer, but he did a lot behind the scenes that has set Eric up. That yes, Rangnick was in between, Ralph was in between, but Solskjaer did a lot of hard work behind the scenes that's allowed Ten Hag to come in and probably transition a lot quicker than what we thought he would do, because the hard work was put in by Solskjaer behind the scenes. He did a lot behind the scenes what a lot of people not aware of. People just thought Solskjaer was just out of his depth, and et cetera, wasn't a good manager, but he laid on quite a lot of the foundations down, especially from the youth team to the first team as well, whereas Mourinho completely destroyed all that near enough, destroyed that sort of structure. So those structures that Ollie put in place that obviously it's just allowed Erik to maybe seamlessly take over quite a little bit easier than what might have been had it been an absolute mess, still in the mess that Mourinho left it in. But Erik just takes everything in stride, and I love the way he's saying that he likes to cycle around Manchester, he likes to cycle around his local area to get the feeling, to get the vibe, to talk to fans, to get the culture of Manchester, to get the culture of the football club. What do the fans want? What do the fans expect? How do I see things from the fans' point of view that he can adapt into his own philosophy, in his own way of doing things. And I just think it's his no nonsense attitude that's really getting him. I think the players needed it as well. They needed a manager to come in that's not a pushover. They need a manager to come in that lays down rules, basic rules. If you can't adhere by the rules, it doesn't matter how big you are, what your name is, what form you're in. Like we have seen it with Rashford, with Ronaldo, and other players as well. Garnacho at the start of the season as well. Why Garnacho didn't get straight in? If you can't adhere by his rules and the principles, he's big enough to go, I'm going to put you on the bench. I'm going to leave you out of the squad for X amount of time. And then we'll see again when your attitude improves or when things improve. He's not phased about anything, Ten Hag, And I love the way reporters try and dig at him, such said about this. He's like, yeah. Or the outfield atmosphere, as I said before on the show, they try and dig the outfield atmosphere, and he goes, it's the same football pitch, the same white lines, the same players, it's the same football, the same bag of air in the football, they're trying to take some pressure off Klopp, put it on Ten Hag. And Ten Hag won't have it, Whereas, I just love press conferences where they try and get a rise out of a manager, and a bit like Ferguson, you never really got that rise out of Ferguson unless, as Bainesy said, you pissed him off, and then you would get the rise out of it. And let's be fair, Ten Hag, I can't remember, is it Gary Cottrell, the Sky Sports reporter, who tried getting in his face before Ten Hag had even stepped foot in the job? Was it Crystal Palace away? And Ten Hag, I think he banned him from some press conferences at the start.
It was a pre-season game.
Or pre-season games.
Yeah.
So Ten Hag's done it like Ferguson. You mess with me, you're fucked off. I think Sky and Gary Cottrell, I don't know if they made amends, but I've not seen Gary Cottrell at a press conference.
He hasn't been.
It's been more Melissa Reddy, isn't it?
And I think he, with that on the Gary Cottrell thing, I think when we lost 4-0, Gary Cottrell, I think, tweeted out saying karma.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then I think ever since then he's like, right, fine, don't come back into the press conferences.
Which is the right way, I think, for it to be. And again, brilliant from Ten Hag. And I get that he's doing his job, this reporter, but I think what sometimes these reporters forget is that people are human beings, and they don't really want to have microphones shoved under their noses. It's about having respect and being polite. And I'm sure that you look at the United players, the ones that stop off and sign autographs as they're driving out of Carrington, that they're going to be interested in stopping for the people that are polite and are asking nicely, not the ones that are jumping in front of the car and demanding and being that sort of way. And I think it's exactly the same thing. You treat people politely and with respect, and you'll get that back. Benny has absolutely stolen that particular quote there from Ten Hag. It tickled me so much. The one that he said there about it's the same match. There's 3 officials, a 4th official. There's the same bag of air. Literally everything said. The ball is round. It's all the same. Nothing's changed. It's the same thing. It's just up to us to go out there. And I think what he's done is to take the pressure away from the players in that respect and just to go, look, it's a match of football. You've done the same thing. It's 11 v 11. Nothing's changed. Yes, the players are a bit different, but ultimately you should be able to do well. So brilliant stuff. Listen, guys, you've been awesome. We need to have our last little bit about what the score is going to be. Dave, who, odds checker, davekeating.com, has come on here, please gamble responsibly. Draw 5-2 odds. Don't know where he's got that from, but there we go. Wherever it is, please don't put it in the chat. We're not endorsing gambling or North United. But there we go. Dav's put, we can cause their poor midfield and defence problems. We need Rashford in full flight. And Jarvis has said, Liverpool will be up for it. That's why it's extremely important to hold out the first 20 minutes to dampen the crowds. Absolutely. Yeah. We need to silence that Anfield song. Benny and Bainesy, you've been awesome. What are the scores on the doors going to be? Are we celebrating a famous victory at Anfield?
Benny, you go first.
I'll happily go first. I'm calling it 2-0 United.
I'm
confident. I'm confident that we'll go in and get there. I agree with Bainesy as well. I think the first 15-20 minutes is going to be absolutely crucial. But again, if Liverpool are on top, I can't see us going full panic stations like we would have done. Totally collapsing, like I said previously earlier on in the show, like we would have done 8, 9, 10 months ago. So I think it'll be, to be fair, I think the first 15-20 minutes for both sides will be pretty cautious, just feeling each other out. And then I think after we get past the 20-minute mark, I think then you'll start seeing the team sort of play a lot more. And I think the way our trio at the back, there with Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, and Rafa Varane, I think we'll be fine. I can't see pros as much problems. I think Wan-Bissaka does come in over Delo, like we said earlier on. I think Luke Shaw is solid at left back as well. So Luke Shaw will come back in so long as he's. I think it was Luke Shaw had a bit of illness, was it? If I remember correctly,
Sancho was ill. Luke Shaw.
Sancho that was ill, right? Yeah. But hopefully, Luke Shaw's finding a way to come straight back in, and I think we'll be all right. I think I'm going 2-0.
There we go. Basic.
Oh, my heart is telling me we'll win. My head's telling me it's a draw, and I'll happily take a draw. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go also with a 1-1 draw. I can't. You know what? I can see us winning, but I can see us losing.
To be fair, you've gone for all three, mate.
Mate, honestly, I can't take it. My heart can't take a 2-0 or 2-1 or a 3-2, like Stu said. No, I'm gonna go with a 1-1. I am going to throw a stat out there, though. I don't know how true this is. I'm sure someone will point it out. But apparently, every single time Casemiro, Varane, and Martinez play together, and when they start, we've never conceded an open play goal. So it's only been set pieces we've conceded with those three on the pitch. Now, I don't know. I'm sure Liverpool are good at their set pieces. But yeah, it's an interesting stat. But I'm going to go with 1-1. I would absolutely love it if we turn them over at Anfield, but my head is telling me it's gonna be a draw, and I'll happily take a draw.
Yeah, I'll happily take a
draw.
Anfield.
Keegan there. So there we go. Brilliant. It's been excellent to have Perry there. Benny, I know you're going to the match, aren't you?
Yeah, go to Anfield.
Have you been lucky enough?
No. I'm at home. With my old man watching it, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
That's where I'll be too, at home, not with you. That's where you live, so that'll be a bit hard to do. But Benny, you are going to have a fantastic time. Hopefully, is it you at Anfield or?
It's just me at Anfield on Sunday because one of my friends couldn't go, so he offered me the ticket. So otherwise, I'd be watching at home like everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a cracking day. Make sure you sing nice and loud for everyone here.
Of course, mate. Always.
It's been a pleasure. Brilliant to have absolutely three giant legends of the channel. It's made my job really easy. It's been helpful because I've been sat here coughing away like a good one. But you guys have been superb. We've learned so many things today. We've learned that Stu can come on for 40 minutes and still not crack a smile about the fact that Manchester United are doing so well. We've learned that Bainesy thinks it could be any one of them. It could be a win, it could be a loss, it could be a draw. But I think we've learned
it's got to be one of them, isn't it? Michael Owen punditry.
It's not whether it's anything to do with Klopp. It's not whether Ten Hag's a legend. It's not whether or not Manchester United are resurgent into anything. No, boys and girls, the thing we've learned today is never ask Benny anything about an opposition player coming into your team. It's been superb. Have a great evening all. Enjoy the match.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
Sunday for
See you
the
later.
reaction.